Yeah, so GY004 was also another very interesting experiment. We have noted now for some time that that the role of PARP inhibitors in patients who are at most able to respond to them, for instance, platinum-sensitive patients and patients who have carry the germline or somatic mutation in BRCA or have HRD, do respond to these drugs, these PARP inhibitors, at a really significant rate. And we've wanted to address the question, could we replace chemotherapy? And so GY004 is one of several trials that have actually tried to address this question. We had an early report this past year on SOLO3, which was looking at the role of PARP inhibitors versus non-platinum based chemotherapy. And so this was taking it up the next step and looking at the role of PARP inhibitor therapy, either alone or in combination with an anti-angiogenesis drug, tyrosine kinase inhibitor called cediranib, or platinum-based chemotherapy. And it was set up as a superiority trial. So, and again, another trial that is really, that struggles with the changing landscape of how we approach these patients. So while this trial was being constructed, we had the approval in platinum-sensitive recurrent patients treated with chemotherapy of 3 drugs, including olaparib, which was approved as a maintenance. And so that really challenged this trial because patients who were given platinum-based chemotherapy and then were not allowed to cross over to olaparib was really felt by a lot of investigators. And up in this study, over 20% of these patients actually felt like it was part of the standard of care and not giving it was a problem. So we struggled with this trial with unplanned or unanticipated crossover because the landscape changed while we were doing the trial. However, saying all that, I think that many people say, well, this trial didn't meet its primary endpoint, that olaparib cediranib was not superior to chemotherapy. True. But I do think it's important to look at this from the standpoint of what are alternatives that we might be able to offer patients in the future. And so a number of the hypothesis generating subgroup analyses do paint this in a way that we could potentially repivot how we look at patients' treatment standards for patients who actually have platinum-sensitive recurrent disease with alternatives. This doesn't prove that it's actually better than, say, what we consider standard of care, which for many people would be platinum-based therapy followed by PARP maintenance, but it does provide some evidence that we did see some really important responses and delays in progression to patients who we feel would be best to receive this combination therapy against chemotherapy alone.